Is this reconciled? What's the name?
You're good.
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the planning report.
Good evening. You got your plan report for December in front of you. At the December 2nd meeting, Planning Commission looked over a minor subdivision for the Unruh property. This is directly on the northeast corner of Shores and Rainbow Road. We're looking at doing a minor subdivision there. This has been administratively tabled at this time. We're looking for some additional items. They have a extremely high karst area in that region. We're looking at some water discharge quality measures, looking at some sewer division, so still working through that. We have the variance for the Gator District, which is the Soaring at Scissortail subdivision that was final platted. This was part of the annexation, de-annexation with Rogers. They're asking for a 1 foot setback variance for their side setbacks, taking it down to 6 feet from 7. It was actually preliminary platted with Rogers at 6 feet. Somewhere in the process, whenever they were just incorporating it into the case code, they just used ours. So that was approved. We had I'm gonna skip 3, come back to it, you know, right? There's a lot line adjustment for Robbins Family Revocable Trust. This is a just line adjustment. They're taking property line, adding about an acre to one property and following the center line of the existing shared driveway that we had. This is also approved. We went over the 2025 meeting, its middle schedule. That was approved, and then we are looking at the subdivision regulations. We're working very diligently to get a final draft of that. Y'all have got a very, very, very close to final draft that was sent out to you to start reviewing, but we're expecting that to come before planning the 1st of January for approval, and then to city council also that same month. So, I actually was on the phone with Juliet yesterday, kind of reviewing some of it going over it. So Adam and NCD have done their kind of final review. We're really kind of compiling just minor things, and then there was an appendix that was left out that I got yesterday that is not a part of what was sent to you all. So once everything is fully compiled, you will get the latest and greatest. Circle back around to the one I skipped, number 3, which is actually y'all's item for this month, is the rezoning for Trillium Development. This is a property that y'all should be fairly familiar with. It's on Murdoch Road, part of the property that was recently annexed into the city. It encompasses multiple properties up there. This was worked through for the past several months with the Planning Commission. They've made a motion to approve with the conditions that the landscape plan show trees for screening in alleys and some main roads, and if there are any changes made that are in the realm of minor garbage or anything, you know, that's requested here, that they're good with it. So it's essentially been passed all in favor, as long as we don't have any, you know, additional major changes that we make. So if y'all want, we can move into that. If you have any specific questions about that development.
I have a couple.
Yes, sir.
As a developer, so I guess I'm talking to you all and then you as well, I guess. Can you reassure the residents that the fences will not be moved or affected by any development? Also, what construction barrier containments will you put in place, since it is very rural, so that livestock are being protected while developing?
You all want, yeah, I mean, really, I mean.
Well, I guess they probably have to.
Yeah,
answer it
I'm gonna
for
let
me.
them talk to that for a second. I mean, we have, the standard building practices in place for the city that, will still be observed, and we will still have, Damon?
Yeah.
Sorry, it may not be Damon, but site observation from McClellan that's gonna be out there, checking on things, same as, we do with other developments, but if there's anything else specific, I will let that be answered by you.
Sure, so as far as the fences are concerned, we've developed frequently adjacent to vacant pasture. And we work with the property owner to make sure that the barbed wire fence, if in fact, that's what's there, is maintained. And we had some fairly, difficult circumstances on one of our projects recently where the trash was just blowing everywhere. So we intend to have some barrier fences put up to prevent the trash from blowing off of the construction areas. This would be when the houses are actually under construction, not the subdivision, because it's not really a problem, when it's the subdivision being developed. But once the houses start to be built, we'll have more than likely the orange construction fence on the perimeter. We're also currently looking at whether or not to construct the perimeter fences early, before the houses get built, and put up the privacy fencing, rather than put construction fencing up and then take that down and put up permanent fencing. So it may be that we actually go ahead and put up the screening fencing, before the houses are actually built. That way we can secure the trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, during the construction, since there is someone that reached out that does run livestock, and, I've come to the planning commission meeting with one of them, and, I've heard horse owners as well, but, that plastic,
It's not good for,
it whips around, and
Right.
it catches wind and it goes. So is there a way that during this, even if you did the big fencing, like you could police around that perimeter or something?
Yeah.
Daily to make
Literally had to
sure
do
we're
that.
good neighbors and good stewards. Okay,
Yes.
okay,
We will definitely make that.
okay, thank you for that. Those were my two major questions.
David, if you don't mind, please go over some of those items that are in bold.
Okay, just give me a second to catch
Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. That,
high level concern buckets are as follows. Does that sound right, MC?
yeah.
So this is a letter that was sent to MC.
And other people, but I just made a copy for you.
Says high-level concern buckets are as follows. Housing density, 280 units on 93 acres is hardly considered general density versus R1 or RE. Traffic impact, it can be expected that 500 to 700 new residents would contribute to unacceptable traffic and congestion. Safety considerations, the intersection of Murdoch and 264 has had several accidents and one fatality without resolution. Infrastructure support, is it acceptable for the city to give the plat 1.1 acre for a water tower? Quality of lot and livelihood, many existing owners are long-term residents. Plat residents are likely to be more transient. And buffer zones, including perimeter fencing, green space, water retention / retention, and lot size.
So has there been any traffic study done on that?
Traffic studies generally done with, preliminary plat. Yeah, preliminary plat.
David, can I ask a question? So all we would be approving at the next meeting is just the rezone, right? Not the final plating?
Yes, we're just
Okay.
looking at, I am sorry, I forgot to turn that back on.
That's all.
All we're looking at is the rezoning for tonight, yes, and it's not a final or preliminary plat at this point. So yeah, traffic studies are usually done whenever we're looking at a preliminary plat. I mean, this is a rezoning just like if they were asking to rezone to any other zoning category, you usually don't do it. So, as far as two 64, I mean, I think it's been explained numerous times that, we don't obviously have control of that, it's a state highway. And, the state really won't do anything until they have the, justifiable number of cars traveling that road, essentially, is, how they, warrant, their improvements and things like that. I mean, quality of life and livelihood,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say that people are gonna be more transient because, they are single family homes, it's still single family homes. It's not like, people are buying these to, it's not like someone's buying a $600,000-$700,000 home to not live in. So, I don't have a good answer for that, but I don't know that that would be the case. The water tower is minimum of 1 acre, that's what we've been discussing. As far as needed, that's pretty standard. Yeah, so the safety intersection, we're on 264. Buffer zones, perimeter fencing, greenscape, water retention. I mean, all of these things are a lot of these things are laid out in the PCD document, but again, a lot of these things are something that we will look at during the preliminary plat process, but they are shown nonetheless, a lot of it in this, specific to this development, because that's something that the planning commission is, very diligently looked at. Green space, there's quite a bit of green space in this development as a whole. Obviously, they're, meeting all of our water quality, detention requirements that the city has.
About storm water management.
Yeah, stormwater management, exactly. Yes, sir.
So,
The housing density, I mean, this is not gonna be the, most dense development that we have. By no means, actually, it's not even like the top two. Currently, right now, in the city, as far as developments, subdivisions that are built, the densest subdivision at 2.96 units per acre is Allen's Mill, if you include both phases. That's how we look at this. After that, let's see, check that out. Would actually be Brentwood is at 2.92 units per acre. And then after that, the other PCD that we approved on the, south side of 264, it's not built, but it was roughly 2 units per acre, but it's because they actually had some lots that were off on the hillside and they were not.
The
capable of
Hillcrest
developing those. No, that is, it was Buffington, it was the other PCD that y'all approved
Oh,
2 months ago,
old
maybe? Yeah.
Bonds property?
Yeah, but as far as things that aren't built, once Hillcrest is built out, it will probably be the most dense. It's gonna have roughly 3.22 units per acre. The, one directly south of Brentwood, so it would be the densest one at 3.2, then Allen's Mill at 2.96, then roughly what they're proposing with Trillium at 2.91, then Brentwood at 2.82, and then the Bond, the Raw Road as well, it's roughly 2 units. So, it's not abnormal or out of line with what, our per unit, and those are lots, our lot per acre density is.
MC, can I say that thing?
sure.
So, I did talk to a gentleman today, and those were some of the questions, but I kinda used Brentwood and Hillcrest. So Brentwood's R3, Hillcrest is R4. So Brentwood, they're already built, 198 lots. Hillcrest is gonna have 136 lots. Our main entrance and egress from that new, Hillcrest subdivision is Ford Road by, the Lakeview Baptist Church. So if you look at all of that, and we do have a stub out inside Brentwood, it's actually down the street from me. So if you look at all of that, that to me is hugely dense. That puts a total of 335 homes, or 334 homes, and 112.19 acres. So I was just trying, so it is not going to be
Yes.
that dense, as he said. Madison, thank you for getting all of that. Today I called her a couple times. And then also I talked to, some of the planning commissioners and, walked through it as well. And two things I walked away with talking to one of them is, you know, the master street plan overlays with this development, which I thought was interesting to hear. And then everything on site will be put up to code, which obviously is reassuring to hear as well. But, the density, I think just change is hard. But, anyway, that's just what I wanted to share, because I was trying to figure out how dense the impact, and that main entrance and exit is gonna be forward, unless people want to traverse Brentwood and all the lovely new stop signs that got put in there, so. And that comes out on 264, which is,
I have a question about the water tower.
Yes, sir.
We're swapping an acre we already have that was deeded to the city, correct, for another acre?
That's the proposal right now, currently. I mean, that will be done with the preliminary plat, but yes, that is the idea right now, yes, sir.
I don't see anything less than an acre being done if we're swapping for swap.
Again, preliminary plat's not
I
finalized,
understand.
So, let me see.
Ed, can I jump in on that?
Yes, sir, go ahead, while I'm waiting.
A land transaction is something that'll have to come back before y'all for approval anyway. We, absolutely heard the council, planning commission's condition that it would be a minimum of an acre. And, we've not updated the drawing since then, but we will work it out with the city council and mayor to make sure that whatever we come up with for final resting place for that water tower is suitable to engineering and the city's requirements. There's actually two different places on here showing where it could end up. It's the one that we're proposing as a swap. And then there's the outline of the existing parcel, and that's our fallback location. So if we can't come to a agreeable swap location there, the current position is workable. It's just not our preferred location for the flow of development.
Okay. Thank you. David, I have one more question. Thank you for answering this question, by the way, but why do we have so many PCD now? That's not related to this dialogue.
Yeah, no,
Since you're here, I wanna ask you that question.
It's because of our lack of diversity that's allowed in our zoning code. You know, the trend, what it seems to be right now is, we're looking at creating subdivisions that have some housing diversity, that have different types of lots. I mean, you look at this and there's some different types of lots. I mean, to me, there's not a lot of major differences from what's going on in different lots, but it's that, I mean, it's, really, builders wanting to have a different product to put out there, diverse, type of homes on this property, makes it easier to develop and have different buyers be interested in different types of housing.
You mean different size lots, is that what you mean? Oh,
Different size lots and homes, and if y'all, I mean, you are more of a professional on that probably than I am at this point. Do you have anything you wanna add as far as, well, why is this the trend, or, what are you seeing?
Yeah, and so we like to develop our entire site at once. And in doing that, if we had all the same lots, which would be a straight zoning environment, we had too many of one type of product. And so when you look at doing the PZD, we can do 50-foot lots, we can do 72-foot lots, we can do smaller patio home lots, we can create green spaces throughout the development. And then we have 3 absorption rate pace, we can sell certain lots to a certain group, we can sell different lots to a different group of buyers, and it helps us to build out the neighborhood and the whole development quicker than if we just had one type of lot. If we just had one type of lot, we would build 50 or 60, and then we'd go build 50 or 60, and it would take, you know, years to work through that. Doing it the way we do it, we are absorbing those lots all at the same time and selling them to different buyers. And then we also get a multi-generational living environment where maybe grandparents can live close to their families and they're living in a different type of unit because at that stage of life, they don't need a front yard, backyard type of thing.
I'm familiar that that's the way it's moving, the trend is that way. However, I just wanna make sure that wasn't really related so much what you as it is about the planning commission, that what are we doing to, I mean, what do we change for this PCD? What made you decide you're gonna do PCD and what, I guess I wonder what is different between what we had and what we gave them that. As far as restriction or anything, I mean, did you,
So,
I guess, why did we have to do PCD, that's what I'm asking.
Okay. well, so the number one reason for why we have to do the PZD is the different type of lots. We don't have anything that has the, like pocket park type of, you know, homes in it, as far as, you know, like a zoning that would allow for that. Most of the development would adhere to at least R3 or R4 zoning, but, you know, there are areas within this that would not. You know, because like the pocket parks, the mansion style, you know, attached, you know, homes, you know, we don't have a multi-family zoning other than R12. And we definitely, and so, you know, if we wanted to do this traditional zoning, we would have to go through and piecemeal parts of it together, one zoning category. Like, okay, well, all these yellows could be R3. Well, all of the oranges would be R4. Well, the mansion, you know, attached homes, well, we don't have anything that allows for that other than RM12, so we would have to zone that RM12. Well, we don't want anything in there zoned RM12. That's 12 units per acre. I wouldn't, I mean, that's not suitable for, you know, this development. I mean, somewhere else, you know, if we want that, that's fine. So it really comes down to that. It comes down to the mix of uses that they're wanting in there. And it also, again, allows for, things that we don't necessarily have in our zoning code to be bolstered a little bit, to, you know, really get put into the VZD, like the amenity lots, the green spaces, landscape plans, things like that. At some point in time, you know, next year when we start working on the zoning code, we'll probably try to address some of this, so we're not looking at PDDs. We have something that allows for, you know, different types of uses, you know, not uses, different types of, single family, you know, zoning to fit something like this. But right now, we don't have it. And this is really the best tool for it. And honestly, moving forward, there would probably still be some cases where it still might be the best tool. You know, the plan zone development.
I'm not saying there is not a place for it, I'm just saying that I'm seeing more and more and more of it. Maybe we need to look at it and see what we, I know you know,
Yeah.
you're working on that, but I think it's best to, I know other cities are trying to get away as much as they can with, being in real estate, I see.
Well, we're definitely gonna look at making some of those processes more streamlined and having some rules in place where maybe something like this or the other one wouldn't have to be a PZD. There would probably still be, properties where it would be the most efficient and effective zoning tool. And the first thing that comes to mind is the Osage Meadows property. Because the Osage Meadows property has that mix of commercial and residential. So they did the PZD to allow for that and just zoned that whole property with that PZD. And they had the commercial uses in the PZD. And then also, whenever we did that, especially like that, we got some assurances for building finishes and things like that within that PZD document, for the commercial lots. So that's better for the city, it really bolsters, like the products that we're gonna get.
One more question, I'm done. As far as downtown goes,
Yes, sir.
have we done any ULI?
That was part of what, meeting with Juliet, Monday, before also, we were touching base on that. We're actively working on the future land use plan, so, talked with you in the past, we're looking at incorporating the downtown master plan document into the comprehensive plan that was done 5 years or more
5
ago.
years.
So it's kind of time to do an update on that anyways. So with the annexations and the land swap, we, have done a rezoning, so we got the rezoning and the map done. But we're looking at, in the comprehensive plan, incorporating that downtown master plan. Right now, they're working on, and what we're working on right now is, future land use and master street plan. So those will probably be the first two items that we address. They're the most pertinent right now with the, recent annexations and land swap things. Get those two up to date, especially the, the master street plan. I mean, this is a good example of that, where, we've got Murdoch that's actually extending through the development like our current master street plan shows, but we've also annexed a lot more land to the west and have had, with the land swap and this. And so we really need to probably go back and look at this western part of the city a little bit more intently, since I would say that we're always gonna get some more interest in it.
So, at what point do we get an update from ULI on what their vision is, and then we look at it from city council point of view, and perhaps, because we spend quite a bit of money on, community building, and I'd like to see downtown, if you're gonna have mixed use downtown, that you have some sort of consistency throughout the whole thing. And right now, anybody can put, as you said it yourself, can put anything they want.
Yeah, within the confines of like building code and stuff like that, and zoning, there's no law.
Yeah, and that's important, because that's gonna be the biggest part of basically commercial.
And we will have some of that within the subdivision code as far as, commercial building finishes and things. But once we finish the subdivision code, again, we'll incorporate the document, the master plan that's created into the comp plan. We really don't envision it taking that long. We're gonna try and get that done and then roll straight into the zoning code.
So we do have we are going to have a zoning code for mixed use downtown, right?
Yes, I mean, that's what we're,
That's what all
Yes.
this, okay. All right, thanks, I appreciate it.
yep.
Anyone else? Thank you. Next item is the, resolution to, for the willingness to use the state aid street monies. And that is something that, we actually approved a couple of years ago. It's gonna roll into, early next year. They're wanting to put it for bids in February. RDOT. State aid funds are always RDOT, and they do the bidding, it's their project that they approve for us. So, are there any questions or discussion on this?
So how much will it be?
I can get you that number, I don't have it in front of me. They paid $300,000, the first $300,000 on the project, but these are the same three roads we had discussed with Bright, Midway, and, Pace Lane. And I'll get that and get you the numbers sent out tomorrow. I thought that was on there, but it's not. Any other questions?
Mayor, is this appropriate time to talk about the land swap with RWP?
That was next on my agenda.
Oh, sorry.
So it's the perfect time.
That's how the exhibits with you all. Keep them in order there, if you don't mind, and I'll leave it up.
So on Wright Road, or
Midway.
Midway?
It will. You'll look at the first exhibit that you have. If you can envision, driving from Highway 112, to the east down Midway, past the fire station, right before you get to the S-curve, that is what we're looking at. This area that's hatched, that you'll see there on the north side of Midway Avenue, that is a platted right of way that goes off the side of a hill. And RWP has asked to see if they could, obtain ownership of that platted right of way that we can't utilize. If you look at the second sheet, this is as you continue along that S-curve, and you'll notice the hatched area there. RWP owns, part of that road, or most of that roadway in there, and that's what we're asking to obtain that right of way for the state aid overlay project. This is what we presented to them several months ago, and they have an interest in that, in addition to the, exhibit 2 on the third page. The hatched area is another small area that we're asking for. In return for that right of way, they're asking if we would abandon the right of way at the end of that S-curve that we showed in that first exhibit, and swap with them on that. Does that kind of make sense based on the last meeting? The right of way is unusable that they're asking for. It does, as you drive through there, to the road, it goes off the side of the hill. So it's just a plat from, I guess, the early 1900s or the late 1800s, where that roadway would have normally been placed.
So if I understand this right, they own most of that road?
That's correct.
Midway?
That's correct. In that section. And that's very common, within, cities, that have not fully developed in those certain areas, that property owners may own half or all of the road. Until it's actually dedicated back to the city, or the city actually purchases that right of way, it can be owned by the individual property owners.
So they could fence it off if they wanted to.
Well, I don't think legally you could do that. I mean, it is a
It's
city
their
street.
property.
Well, it is, but the city street's been there for how many years? And so you have an easement, written or not, from edge of road to edge of road. I can let Justin use the proper terminology for that, but it's
So who pays the taxes on it?
the property owner pays the taxes on it.
Actually, there was one case back 3 years ago, in that area where that Graham Trust Fund is a bridge that will come off this street and go, and they lost in court, just so you know.
Okay. But there's several, properties through Bright and Midway where the property owner owns to the civil line road or across the road.
So for this swap on the first page, they're gonna give up the property on the second and third page.
That's correct, and the property that they've asked for to try to clean things up is, just under 1/10, or 0.09, or just under 1/10 of an acre. So we're not talking about a large area. And so what we would like to ask the council is, it would likely be easier or cleaner if we can take care of this in 2 separate transactions, since, right-of-way abandonment does take, the act of the council, if you will, and so forth. It'll probably be cleaner to separate these 2 transactions and maybe enter into some type of memorandum of agreement between RWP and the city, say, we will work with you on abandoning this right-of-way, if you'll let us move forward with obtaining this other, right-of-way on the second and third pages.
So 2 separate transactions, 2 separate voting times, basically? Cause do we have to vote it to come in, or is it,
Well,
we have to vote to abandon?
you gotta vote to abandon it. I think we'll still have to come back to the council to abandon that right away. Outside of that, this could be given, the mayor could be given authority to negotiate land transaction outside of abandoning that sector right.
Are we gonna replace their sign and move it down there on the straight stretch or at the bottom of the hill? Or are they gonna do that? It's in the right of way.
I would say one or both, one or the other would. It's not, it's pretty straightforward, but I just wanted to give you the exhibit so you can kind of get a feel for what the size we're talking about.
Any other questions? Thank you. Next item is franchise fees, and this one's one that Justin may want to address. We've got 3 of the utility franchise fees that have been revised